What's up, team? I'm former United States Army Ranger Joshua Thompson. If you're planning to leave the military for whatever reason, it's important to know what options you have to make sure you have a smooth transition from the military life to civilian. The information I'm about to share with you is the exact process that I personally did to make sure I set myself up for success when it came to transitioning to the civilian world versus those who didn't go through a process like this. But if you guys enjoy me covering topics just like this, make sure you guys hit the like button and subscribe if you are new. Let's get into it. All right, so the way that I'm gonna break down this video is gonna be in chronological order, the way I did it, so that if you guys are in the same position, you can just go ahead and knock these steps out and make sure you set yourself up for success if you are in that period to transition out of the military. So the first step is not technically required, but I highly recommend that you do it, is that you need to be enrolled into a college or community college, and it is important that this college or higher education area, place, or this university is located in the location that you plan to move to when you transition out of the military. It is very important. So first of all, when you're in the military, you're allotted a certain amount of credits per fiscal year. When it comes to taking college courses, I highly recommend that you take advantage of that. It's free classes that you can just take. This is especially important because either way, if you stay in the military or not, you will need your degree at some point in your career. But the reason why you want the location to be where you're going to be moving when you transition out is because we want to take advantage of the GI benefits, unless you were going to transfer to some other college that is going to be local when you do make that transition. Because if you guys don't know, you need to have at least one class in person to take advantage of your GI benefits. I highly recommend that you just pick a course and just take it, because eventually you are gonna know what you want to study. And if you have all those earlier years knocked out, that's a ton of electives out of the way. So it's gonna take a lot less time when you actually get to the course that you actually want to take. All right, the second step though, this is required, and it's required for every single military member that is going to transition out of the military, is that they need to complete SLF-tap, or the Transition Assistance Program. I'm not sure if it's the same program for all the military branches across the board, but for the Army, it was the SLF-tap program. You need to complete this, and not just complete this, but you need to complete this at least 180 days prior to your ETS date. And I'll get to the reason why that is later. But it is incredibly important that you need to knock this out at least 6 months before your ETS date. If you can get it done sooner than that, I highly recommend doing that. Personally, I was able to do that when I was on deployment almost a year out from my ETS date. And I was able to do it all online because, I was deployed. But the fastest way to complete SLF-tap is to do it online. However, you are required to go in person and take the classes in person if you're at your duty station. The reason that it takes longer is because they're scheduled classes throughout various weeks, and because they have set times, it's gonna take longer to do it this way. That being said, I do know individuals who were at their duty station and still completed it online and within a timely manner. The only reason you would be able to do that is because if you're getting closer to your 180 days before your ETS date, it's important to have this done prior to that. And so if you need to expedite the process, you can do it online. That's the only reason you would ever do it online. Otherwise, if you're at your duty station, you need to go in person. Or if you're like me and you're deployed, you can do it on deployment. It's actually not that hard. But depending on your tasks for the day, or whatever you're doing while you're deployed, it can be a little bit more difficult that way. But for me, it was pretty easy. The third step that you guys need to do is that you need to sign on for some sort of CSP or a career Skillbridge program, otherwise known as Skillbridge. Now, Skillbridge is a program that's all across the board for all duty members. It doesn't matter your branch. I looked this up. But what exactly is Skillbridge? It's basically a DoD program that allows service members who are transitioning to gain civilian work and experience through internships, apprenticeships, or some sort of specific industry training that you go through. That's what I did. And you can do this up to 180 days out from your ETS date. So 6 months before your ETS date, that whole window, you can go do your CSP. So basically, if you're 180 days out from your ETS date, you can walk into your education counselor's office. You can look at all the jobs that are available during that period, or all the training that's available during that period, see what you like, see what you want to do when you actually transition out of the military. And it's a really easy way to get something set up, to get a job set up when you transition out of the military. So when you actually transition out, you're just continuously doing what the CSP program or your Skillbridge program was doing already. And if you guys are really eager to get out, you can choose a CSP program that basically takes up the majority of that time up to the when you have to out process. So basically you can eliminate close to 180 days off your contract doing the Skillbridge program. So you can see how important it is to do this program, because it'll make your transition completely smooth, right? You won't have to worry about a job. You will be more familiar with the local area that you're moving to. You'll probably get to know not only the people you work with, but if you go to the gym like me, you'll probably gain a little bit of a social circle there, right? You're not going to be completely on your own when you transition out. It's not like you're going to be starting over. It's the jump start. The only difference is before you out process, you're not going to get paid, but when you do out process and the Skillbridge program wants to keep you on, then you're going to get paid for it. All right, the fourth step, and it's pretty big one, one that I wish I took a little bit more advantage of, is when you are out processing and you're conducting your final medical, there is one rule of thumb. It is the Army's fault, or whatever branch you guys were in, it is that branch's fault for whatever medical pain or history that you guys have. When you're doing your final medical, you know, sure, you might have like some hearing problems because of your job or whatever, but let's say you had a pain in your right shoulder and it's been there since high school. That's not high school. That is the Army's fault. You want to do everything within possible reason to get yourself on some sort of disability rate, because guys, that is a paycheck for life. And unfortunately for me, I don't really have anything wrong with me. I'm a healthy Ranger. I don't have any disability, but I want you guys to succeed where I failed. So let's review, right? You finally made it out of the service. You finally did your final out processing. What does life look like if you did all these steps properly? By now, you're still in school, or you moved on to your master's program and you're taking advantage of those GI benefits. That's at least a couple $1,000s a month just going to school. They pay you to go to school, guys. And on top of that, guys, it's all non-taxable, so you don't even have to worry about it. It's just free money. Additionally, on top of that, you already have a job lined up because you've been working it 6 months or close to 6 months prior to making that transition. And not only do you have a job, you know the people there, you probably know a couple people from the gym, you have some sort of social circle, right? You have connections. You're not just starting off from square one. And if you guys were able to get on some sort of disability, you get those checks once a month and you get those benefits. As you can see, this stuff adds up. So I would say if you follow these steps, it's a pretty good way to set you up for civilian life, if you guys didn't know how to take advantages of this. Now, while this video focuses more on the tactical side of things, where we're trying to take advantage of the system and get the most possible benefits when it comes to making our transition, there are still some intangible stuff that we can't control as people who've been in the military and have grown accustomed to that. Getting adjusted to having more control and responsibility in our lives. Not always getting told when, where, and what uniform. I will tell you guys first thing, it is a lot less structured out here, right? If you've been working a job for a certain amount of time, you're not owed a promotion every 2 years, versus when you're in the military, time and grade is a thing, versus outside, it's dependent on who you work for or what's happening in the world. But this is why, at the very least, if you guys follow these steps, it'll set you up for a good start when it comes to your transition. I hope it goes well for you guys. At the very least, it gives you time until you figure out what is next. If you guys are wondering why I left the military, I know a lot of people, you guys like to ask this question a lot in my comment section. It's actually pretty simple. I always planned to leave the military even before I went in. I have nothing against the military or people who choose to live that lifestyle. I actually enjoyed my time while I was in the military. I pretty much did everything there was to do for the time that I had while I was in. I went into selections, I went into special operations, I did rigorous schools like Ranger School, Airborne School. I got to deploy a couple times, and then I went on TDYs, getting exposed to insanely smart people, incredibly talented contractors, just getting exposed to what's actually out there. And so I leave the military with no regrets, to be honest. I have no regrets when it comes to the service that I did, and no regrets to leaving. You guys got to understand, for a person like me, I have to do everything in my life that I deem is something I want to do. I'm just that kind of person that has to do everything in this life that's possible for me within this limited life that I'm given. In my opinion, I've experienced the military to its utmost for the most part, at least for the lower enlisted aspect of things. And now it's time for the next chapter. So that's really the reason why. It's nothing too crazy. But for all of you guys who just keep nailing me, trying to ask why'd you leave, this is for you guys. But anyways, guys, if you found this video informative, hit the like button and subscribe if you are new. If you guys thought I missed anything or would like to add your thoughts, maybe you guys know a different program that's better or in addition to what I've already previously said, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Comment down in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.